Betrayal never arrives with a loud roar in the forest. It often walks quietly, like a silent predator stalking your camp. It smiles, shakes your hand, agrees with your hunting plans. And when the timing is just right, when your lookout, your guard is low, it strikes from the shadows. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. He didn't just study betrayal, he took it apart, piece by piece. He named its hidden signs, described how it moves through power like a silent, deadly poison, invisible until it's too late. And what he discovered was this: most people, camp leaders, don't get ambushed, betrayed because they are weak. They get ambushed because they ignore the signs. The tracks, the subtle changes in the forest that only a skilled hunter, strategic mind can see. That's why Machiavelli believed that the biggest mistake a ruler, or any leader, could make is to trust too easily. Or worse, to ignore clear tracks because of old feelings for a hunter. Because betrayal doesn't come from the wild beast in the distant woods. It comes from the hunters, people, you let too close in your own camp. That's why this video exists, to sharpen your instincts with the exact strategies Machiavelli gave in his writings. Not just ideas, but real signs based on how true betrayal happens in politics, alliances, friendships, and even families. Just a quick reminder, if this is the kind of content that resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. Part 1. Reading the tracks. Subtle signs of the predator. Sign A. The echoing voice. Fake agreement. The first big warning sign Machiavelli called shadow obedience. Imagine a hunter who once spoke his mind, even argued about your hunting strategy. Now, suddenly, he agrees with everything you say, stops offering his own ideas, and just follows your orders quietly. In his writings, Machiavelli describes how people below you often pretend to be loyal, especially after being defeated or brought into your leadership. They obey, not because they respect you, but because they haven't yet found their own strength. Until then, they bow their heads. But Machiavelli warns, silence does not mean loyalty. This means quiet doesn't mean loyal. Following orders doesn't mean truly agreeing. When someone agrees with everything but stops giving their own ideas, be very careful. When someone used to challenge you honestly but now only repeats what you think, they may not be more loyal. They may be more strategic, waiting quietly, planning. Machiavelli explained this using the example of Cesare Borgia. After taking a region, Cesare put a tough governor in charge. He let this governor do the dirty work, and then Cesare publicly executed him to win the people's trust. The key lesson? People fear the clever more than the violent. And the most clever will obey you just long enough to take your place. In your world, your team, your family, this looks like the quiet coworker who always agrees in meetings but never speaks first. The friend who never questions your decisions anymore. The partner who suddenly stops giving their opinions. These are not signs of peace, these are signs of waiting. People holding their true intentions until the time to strike is safe. Sign B, the over-friendly scent. Too much talk, no clear intent. The second warning sign is talking too much without being clear. Machiavelli often said that true allies speak plainly, even when it's risky. But betrayers? They speak often and say nothing important. In discourses, he explains how plotters gain trust not by being quiet, but by giving too much praise, agreeing endlessly, and constantly checking in. Their goal isn't to help you, it's to watch you, to stay close. He wrote, "Love is easily broken when it goes against self-interest." This means people break loyalty the moment it costs them something. And when they're preparing to break it, they'll overdo it by giving you too much attention. They'll praise your leadership, repeat your ideas, compliment your strength. But watch closely. They say everything except where they actually stand. They give no friction, no disagreement, no visible will of their own. That is not support, that is surveillance. And if you don't recognize this, you'll confuse being close to them with being protected. But Machiavelli knew the truth. Being close increases the danger. It doesn't reduce it. Because it's not the distant enemies who ambush you. It's the ones who know where you sleep, where your guard is lowest, where your attention is divided. This is why in The Prince he advises that leaders should spread out their power, never letting any one advisor or soldier hold too much favor or familiarity, because the more they depend on you, the less likely they are to betray. But the moment they become so important that they cannot be replaced, they begin calculating your weaknesses. This applies today more than ever. The co-founder who suddenly praises every idea you pitch but hasn't started anything new in weeks. The friend who texts you daily but avoids real talks about feelings. The employee who flatters often but leaves tasks vague. These are not signs of loyalty, they are signs of distraction hiding delay. People staying close just long enough to act when your back is turned. Sign C, the shifting path. Misaligned journeys. The third warning sign? It's harder to spot because it comes disguised as growth. It's when someone changes their direction without telling you. Here's what Machiavelli observed. People don't often betray you out of hatred. They betray you because their own path changed and you didn't notice. In his discourses, he explains how hunting groups, once working together for a single catch, eventually break apart, not from fighting, but from going in different directions. When the goal is no longer shared, loyalty slowly turns into competition. So when someone around you starts growing rapidly, but their growth is completely separate from yours, pay attention. Not because growth is bad, but because growing in different directions without clear agreement breeds conflict. The most dangerous betrayal isn't personal, it's structural. Two people once sharing the same hunting map, but now one wants a different prey that the other doesn't see. And instead of talking about it, they pretend. They smile, they show up. But behind the scenes, they are planning a future that doesn't include you. This is how powerful camps fall. Not from open rebellion, but from quiet changes made by those who once shared your cause. So ask yourself, who around you is growing in a direction you don't understand? Who's building something separate but hasn't spoken about it? Who's suddenly ambitious but vague about their plans? That's not just distance, that's drift. And Machiavelli would say, drift is where betrayal takes root. Power doesn't vanish in a moment. It slowly wears away. And betrayal is not one single attack. It's a buildup of signs you chose not to see, like a hunter leaving faint tracks in the dust. Machiavelli didn't believe in being overly suspicious of everyone. He believed in pattern recognition. In The Prince, he wasn't warning leaders to distrust everyone. He was training them to spot slow betrayal, the kind that hides behind daily routines, the kind that becomes clear only when you're tough enough to look closely. And this is where most people fail. They wait for the betrayal to become obvious, for the backstabbing, the stolen opportunity, the moment someone finally crosses the line. But Machiavelli would say, if you wait until the betrayal is visible to act, you've already lost. Part 2. Setting the trap. Proactive measures. Tactic 1. The loyalty test. Demanding real action. Let's go deeper into these signs and how to use them to your advantage. Take shadow obedience, the first sign. The one who once spoke their mind but now simply agrees with you. This feels like support. It isn't. It's a performance. Machiavelli understood this from watching how courts operated. He knew that when someone suddenly stops being difficult, it's not because they've changed, it's because they've calculated. When honest criticism disappears, it usually means loyalty did too. But now they're playing for time, waiting for an advantage. And the longer you let it continue, the more comfortable they get hiding in your shadow. The solution? You test them. In The Prince, he advised rulers to introduce a small disturbance, cause a bit of discomfort, announce a sudden change in hunting plans, and then watch. If someone is truly aligned with your cause, they'll adapt or question you out of real concern. If they're just copying you, they'll flinch, they'll panic, they'll hesitate, not because they care, but because they didn't see it coming. And now their hidden plan doesn't work. This is how you expose shadow obedience. Introduce pressure that demands true alignment, not fake agreement. Make them show their real colors. Now look at the second sign. Over-communication without clarity. This is one of the most effective ways betrayers hide. They stay close to you, they flood you with attention, they show up, they smile, they praise, but there's no real substance behind the words. You'll notice a strange emptiness in their communication, like they're saying a lot but never actually committing to anything. Machiavelli saw this behavior in diplomats and advisors. In his letters, he notes how people often pretended to be close to rulers to gather information, not to serve. Their loyalty was a costume, and the easiest way to spot it was this: they never took risks. Real loyalty makes itself visible through action, through disagreement, through being vulnerable. But the betrayer never risks anything. They just stay in your orbit, they gather information, they wait. So how do you expose them? You ask for commitment, not just in words, but in action. Give them responsibility. Ask for a real contribution. See if they step up or try to avoid it. Machiavelli wrote, "A man will sooner forget the death of his father than the loss of his inheritance." What he meant was this: people protect what matters to them. If someone keeps avoiding putting their own skin in the game, it means they have no intention of staying. Or worse, they're already committed elsewhere. Now let's return to the third sign: misaligned evolution. This one is dangerous because it doesn't feel threatening. You'll tell yourself, they're just doing their own thing. And sometimes that's true. But Machiavelli warned about what he called silent ambition, growth that isn't announced, isn't aligned with you, and isn't shared. It happens slowly, privately. And by the time you notice, the person isn't your ally anymore, they're your competitor, with insider knowledge. This happened repeatedly in old politics. Men who once served under a leader grew powerful, built new networks quietly, and then made their move when the old power wasn't looking. The betrayal wasn't sudden, the signs were there, but no one paid attention until it was too late. So how do you detect misaligned evolution before it strikes? You look for differences in their language. People who are about to outgrow you start using different words. They talk about ideas that don't include you. Their tone shifts. They talk more about my goals, not our vision. They begin to speak like outsiders in a room they once helped build. It's subtle, but Machiavelli would urge you to notice. Because by the time they say it directly, they've already made their decision to leave. You test them by bringing the vision back to the center. Here's where I'm going. Are you still with me? And then you wait. Not for their simple answer, but for their energy. Does it truly align? Or does it hesitate? That hesitation is a crack, and every crack ignored becomes a break in your camp's unity. Now here's the bitter truth Machiavelli never softened. Even when you detect these signs, most people do nothing. Why? Because betrayal feels personal. And when something feels personal, we hesitate, we hope, we remember better times, we wait for clear proof. But Machiavelli wasn't emotional. He was surgical. He wrote, "Men must be either caressed or annihilated." What he meant was that halfway loyalty is a danger. There is no maybe in allegiance. If someone around you is hesitating, pretending, or drifting away, and you let it continue, you are giving betrayal the space it needs to grow roots. So you must act. Not in anger, not in panic, but in silence, distance, observation, and if necessary, removal. You don't explain, you don't accuse, you don't try to change them. You simply change the structure of the camp so that they no longer hold a powerful position. This is the Machiavellian way, not cruelty, but clarity. Because the most powerful act isn't striking the traitor after they betray, it's recognizing the betrayal before they know you've seen it, and making sure the knife never leaves their pocket. You don't punish betrayal after it happens, you prevent it from becoming possible. That was Machiavelli's core principle. Because in the chessboard of power, once someone has the position to strike, it's already too late. What separates the ruler who stays in control from the one who's overthrown isn't strength, it's anticipation. And most people don't anticipate. They assume loyalty because someone's been around for years. Because they've shared wins, shared secrets, shared silence. But time does not equal trust, and history does not equal allegiance. In fact, the people most likely to betray you are the ones who've been watching the longest, who know your patterns, your pressure points, your flaws. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise ruler should be careful in accepting the help of those who have shown themselves bold in harming others, for the same boldness may be used against himself." In modern terms, if someone betrayed someone else to join your team, they'll eventually betray you to join someone stronger. So here's a fourth bonus warning sign few ever catch: loyalty without deep roots. You've seen this type before. The person who switches sides easily, who praises you today but criticized someone else yesterday. The one who rushes into your camp after being hurt by another leader or group. They say it's about making things right, about a second chance, but Machiavelli would tell you, beware the soldier who abandoned his last commander. Not because he was wronged, but because he is comfortable with changing alliances. He may be loyal now, but only because you're currently winning. The moment your grip slips, he's gone. In The Prince, Machiavelli used the hired soldiers, mercenaries, of old Italy as a harsh lesson. He explained how rulers who relied on mercenaries, soldiers who fight for money, not loyalty, always fell. Because mercenaries don't fight for the cause, they fight for the money, and the minute danger is greater than profit, they vanish. Your modern mercenaries don't wear armor, they wear smiles. They speak your language, they play your game until your value drops, then they switch. So how do you detect this kind of betrayal? Simple, you observe their history. Machiavelli taught that the best way to predict what someone will do in the future is not to trust what they say now, but to look at what they have done before. So ask, how did this person arrive at your side? Were they driven by shared values or by being rejected from someone else? Did they build with you from the ground up, or did they arrive after you'd already won? Because the person who only joins once you're strong will be the first to flee once you're weak. The real lesson here? Loyalty is not about closeness. It's about cost. If someone has never had to pay anything for standing by you, they haven't proven anything. Machiavelli made it very clear. He who is not willing to suffer for your gain will never suffer to defend your loss. So test it, privately, intelligently. Create small costs, inconveniences, situations where loyalty doesn't come easy. Watch who still stands beside you. That's your real circle. Part 3. The unforgiving wilderness, consequences and clarity. Now, let's address a dangerous misconception, one that gets powerful leaders destroyed over and over again. The belief that good intentions prevent betrayal. They don't. Machiavelli was unflinching in this. He saw rulers, generals, and citizens fall because they believed loyalty was based on shared morality, on kindness, on decency. But he wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers, not because they're evil, but because their loyalty bends to their own self-interest. And when that interest changes, so does their allegiance." So here's a brutal truth. Someone can be kind to you, laugh with you, cry with you, and still betray you. Not out of hatred, but out of careful choice based on what benefits them most. You are not safe because they like you. You are only safe if they see no benefit in crossing you. That's why Machiavelli emphasized building structure over sentiment. He didn't trust people. He trusted systems, checks, balances, and pressure points. He believed every powerful person should be surrounded by those who depend on them, not emotionally, but structurally, not with love, but with leverage. And that's the next strategy. Once you've spotted the signs, shadow obedience, overcommunication, misaligned growth, and loyalty without roots, you don't wait for betrayal. You move. You restructure, you remove options. In The Prince, Machiavelli described how Cesare Borgia handled betrayal not by fighting it immediately, but by allowing it to fully unfold until the evidence was undeniable and the punishment could be both final and public. Why? Because exposing a traitor without finishing them off only makes them smarter. The lesson is this: observe longer than you act. Not to tolerate, but to trap. If someone close to you is already on the path to betrayal, their ego will eventually drive them to make a mistake. and when they do, you don't meet them head-on. You remove the terrain, you don't argue, you don't plead, you don't warn. You simply isolate their influence, restrict their information flow, rewire the power structure so they are out of position, and make them irrelevant before they even notice. This is the Machiavellian art of preemptive exile, removing the threat without a war. Let's make this even clearer with one of Machiavelli's favorite historical examples, Girolamo Savonarola, a religious leader who briefly ruled Florence. He inspired loyalty through religious belief, and people followed him as a prophet. But once he began to lose favor with the Pope, he believed the people would remain loyal because they loved him. He was wrong. As Machiavelli wrote, "He who builds his power on the people must know how to change when the people change." Savonarola didn't. He clung to their love. He believed it would save him. And so, when the winds shifted and his enemies acted, he had no strong structure to fall back on, only feelings. He was captured, tortured, executed, his ashes scattered in the river. What's the lesson? Never rely on affection for protection. You must build structures that hold even when trust does not. So if you sense betrayal building, here's what you do. Don't cut them off immediately, that's noisy, that gives them a role to play, a justification, a stage. Instead, slowly fade them out by reassigning their duties, stopping the flow of information to them, introducing new trusted players beside them, redirecting your alliances subtly, and making their presence first optional, then invisible. They will notice, but they won't react, not at first. Because the intelligent betrayer doesn't panic until their position starts collapsing. And by the time they confront you, you'll already be in a world where they hold no leverage. This is what Machiavelli called the preemptive purge. Not a violent removal, but a structural collapse of someone's influence. You don't attack them, you erase the room they once mattered in. Now, let's go deeper. Machiavelli also advised rulers to make examples, but only when necessary and with finality. In his analysis of Roman leadership, he explained how the Republic maintained order not by soft discipline, but by decisive, memorable punishment when it was absolutely justified and visible. He wrote, "A prince must strike in a way that he does not need to strike again." That means if someone betrays you publicly, if the move is visible, the damage real, and the message dangerous, you must respond surgically and permanently. Not out of revenge, but out of demonstration. You don't scream, you don't threaten, you remove them so cleanly, so undeniably, that no one else even considers playing the same game. Because power doesn't protect itself, it must signal danger. Quiet power is not always silent. Sometimes it must echo. So what does this look like in your world? Let's say someone betrays your business, leaks your ideas, steals your clients, poisons your network behind your back. You could retaliate emotionally, or, Machiavelli would advise, you cut their access, expose their weakness quietly, and use their name as a case study in why loyalty is everything. Not to shame them, but to fortify your position. You don't need to destroy people to win. You just need to make betrayal look like the dumbest move they ever made. And finally, Machiavelli teaches us that once a traitor is neutralized, you must erase the past, not from your mind, but from the environment. In taking a state, the conqueror must do all injuries at once. What does this mean? It means once you act against betrayal, you don't hold on to fragments. Don't keep the betrayer's name on your lips. Don't revisit the wound. Don't keep the bridge half burned. You end the chapter entirely. Because the presence of a known traitor, even in memory, invites mimicry. But the total disappearance of a betrayer? That signals something far more powerful. Loyalty is required, but betrayal is forgotten. Machiavelli's lesson lasts forever. Master yourself, control your reactions, and turn every challenge into a strategic move. For those who cannot command their own ship are commanded by the world's storms. If you found this valuable, the next step is simple. Continue learning how to truly command. Hit the like button if this journey has given you a clearer map for building your city. Your support helps us share these vital lessons. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Keep sailing strong, keep planning, and never stop commanding your destiny. I'll see you in the next video.